It is 6:04 p.m. on June 13th, 2020, and just a minute ago, I finished the original 1966 Ultraman. So you may be wondering what my opinion on it was. Well, this is a review video, so I'm about to give you it right now, but before we get into that, I think there's an important thing to note. Yesterday, it was announced that Godzilla vs. Kong is being delayed again from November 20th, 2020 to May 21st, 2021. And at first, I was very disappointed because, it was supposed to come out like 3 months ago. But I'm happy because then no one will probably the coronavirus will be done for, and there's less competition so far. I mean, it's May's the blockbuster month. There's gonna be a lot of movies coming out then, but maybe once like everything starts booking to May, they'll switch to like March or April, which I'm pretty sure has much less competition. But anyways, let's get into the Ultraman review. It all started when a jet owned by the Science Patrol crashed into a red orb from space. The pilot, Shin Hayata, is encompassed by the orb. Inside, Hayata is greeted by an alien from the Nebula M78 known as Ultraman. He feels sorry for the pilot who he crashed into, and so he gives him his life to protect Earth. Meanwhile, a space criminal known as Bemular lands into a lake and hatches from its transport. The two space giants battle, and this event begins the series. Now for the recurring characters, starting off with Shin Hayata, the host of Ultraman. He's sort of the generic hero type, but it's not like he's unwatchable or anything. He just generic, honestly. He's one of two characters from the original Ultraman series to return in the Ultraman anime and, of course, in the manga, because the Ultraman anime is based on the manga. Then we have Mitsuhiro Ide, the comic relief of the show, and also the inventor of the Science Patrol's weapons. I liked his character a lot more than Hayata because, he's not just a generic hero. It's not my favorite. He's coming up later. Next up is Toshio Muramatsu, the captain of the Science Patrol. He's a pretty interesting character, and he reminded me of Dan Moroboshi while watching. Well, the Dan Moroboshi in the Ultraman anime, of course. Also, he works very well as a leader, so that's a plus. Here's the sharpshooter and weapons expert of the team, Daisuke Arashi. I didn't think much of this character until my favorite episode of the series came, and I'll talk about that later. Here's Akiko Fuji, the communicator and definitely my least favorite character of the show. Not gonna lie. I mean, she's the most stereotypical love interest character you can get, with many sexist stereotypes. There's even an episode where a monster starts eating pearls and she doesn't care that the monster can kill people, only that it eats pearls and that she won't be able to buy pearls anymore. I mean, imagine being that kind of person. Not even caring about the safety of other people, and only caring that something you want to buy isn't going to be buyable anymore because of said threat. That's absolutely horrible. Also, I think her role in episode 33 might have started the gigantus fetish in some people. And to end off the character segment of this video is Samu Hoshino, who I thought was going to be a Kenny when I first saw him in the first few episodes, but over his appearances, I grew to like his character, especially because he actually proved useful to the Science Patrol. And he even might have figured out that Shin Hayato was Ultraman before everyone else did. And it's a real shame that his actor injured his leg during a skiing accident, and that injury caused his character to disappear after the 25th episode. Of course, there are more characters than that, but most of them only appear for one episode, so I won't count them here. While the human plot can be very slow, and it usually is, the monster fights are always entertaining and very fast-paced. And also, there's some pretty cool stunts that, I wouldn't expect someone to do in this modern age of, more safety during stunts. However, I think my favorite fight in the entire series is any one of the fights with Red King, because he really is a brutal combatant, and he is not afraid to sever a few limbs. Speaking of monsters, I'm a sucker for monsters, and thankfully, Ultraman does not disappoint with creatures like Geronimon, the previously mentioned Red King. In fact, the only kaiju that I can say has a bad design is Gamakujita, which is also, honestly, part of the worst episode in the entire series. Not even the kaiju remix figures can make him look good, and that's saying something. But my favorite kaiju, in terms of all categories, goes to Jamila. Its backstory is quite sad. Its design is honestly very unique and works very well with the character, and its episode is overall very good. For the final part of this video before the conclusion, let's talk about my favorite and least favorite episodes. Let's start with my least favorite. My least favorite episode is episode 17. It starts when a man is experimenting on a mysterious rock when suddenly it comes to life and attacks him. There's a lot of mystery in the episode, and then we discover that the rock is a dimensional monster known as Bolton. The creature grows, and we actually get some pretty funny stuff as it reverses the roles of tanks and jets. But overall, the main reason why this is my least favorite is because of the battle, which, while the dimensional stuff is pretty interesting, sure, they do something with it, but it's really confusing, and they never offer any explanation at all. However, that episode is just my least favorite to watch because of how slow and confusing it is. Episode 14 and 15 are definitely the worst. Anyways, for my favorites. My favorite episode of Ultraman is episode 36, aka Don't Shoot Arashi. And let me just say, the reason I like this episode so much is because of the plot. So, when I show the fan light, that means spoilers have ended. The episode begins when the Science Patrol go to a newly established theme park with a fake sky that looks really convincing to the Science Patrol. Suddenly, said fake sky breaks open and reveals an extremely bright light. Said light blinds the tour guide. Ide reveals the blueprints for his newest invention, a ray gun that will disintegrate monsters. Eventually, the light returns. A monster is revealed to be the cause of the light. Eventually, they bring the monster down, or so they thought. Suddenly, it sheds its armor and reveals that it's still alive. Unfortunately, there are still children inside the building, so Hayata and Arashi go to rescue them. Luckily, they rescue the children, who are unconscious. Hayata and the children are eventually blinded while trying to escape. Arashi is told not to shoot because it might make the monster stronger, but he disobeys the order and fires the ray gun. When they regroup, Arashi is fired from the Science Patrol in an unexpected move by Muramatsu. Arashi, feeling immense guilt for putting Hayata and the children in danger, goes to risk his life in order to save everyone else from further trouble. Hayata realizes that Arashi is going to sacrifice himself and breaks out of the hospital in order to turn into Ultraman. Once he does, the two giants fight. Ultraman is blinded mid-battle. When all hope is lost, Arashi fires the disintegrator and injures Zargus. This gives Ultraman the time he needs to finish off the monster. Arashi is reaccepted into the Science Patrol, but he is forced to repeat the rule that he broke. Okay, spoilers are finished now. There will be no spoilers for the rest of this video. I like this episode because of the turmoil that Arashi has to go through, and the creature design and the creature abilities. And it's really a shame that this episode was kind of copied in episode 38. Holy crap, how could I forget the special effects? Surprisingly, the special effects of Ultraman are on par with the 60s Godzilla movies, despite being on a TV budget. Not a single monster costume in the entire show, except for Gamakujita, looks bad. Not even the Type A mask for Ultraman. Honestly, my favorite thing about the special effects has to be the airships. Like, honestly, even though they're on wires, there is no wobble whatsoever. Just like any 60s kaiju movie, there are some times where you can see the wires though. Like this, where you can see the wire on this specific feather. So, what's my rating of the show, you might be asking? I'll give it an 8 out of 10. The special effects could be improved in modern times, and Fuji's character is absolutely horrible, but other than that, the show still stands up. Bye.